While many this year were recovering from this spring's bomb cyclone and subsequent flooding, another disaster was around the corner. In July, the collapse of an irrigation canal threatened over 107,000 acres in Wyoming and the Nebraska Panhandle during the peak of the summer growing season. Market Journal's Bill Dodd went out to Western Nebraska to learn more.
Father, we come before you now with concern in our hearts for the things that are going on in our valley. There is a time for everything. There's a time to plant, a time to harvest, a time to cultivate, a time to water.
It all began with a prayer. A crisis in Nebraska's Panhandle and several of Wyoming's eastern counties that cut off irrigation for multiple agricultural producers is now threatening entire crops. The irrigation tunnel collapse is currently being viewed as an act of God, though there is no official cause for the collapse. This prompted a public meeting last week at the University of Nebraska Panhandle Research and Extension Center to inform farmers and landowners of what is currently known about the collapse, how it occurred, and what's happening in the response effort. While recovery efforts were currently underway at the time, the cause and solutions were still a bit elusive to some officials at the helm.
At present, we've talked to engineers as pure speculation. We do not know exactly what the cause of it was.
Yeah, this is a really interesting situation. The canal system here was built by the Bureau of Reclamation in the early 1900s, and then those canals are maintained by local irrigation districts, and there are 2 districts that are responsible for this tunnel. And so as we were looking at a structure of its age and the extremely wet weather events that we've had this year, that makes it really difficult to pinpoint a cause and then who's responsible for this canal break.
Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts announced last Friday, "Our farmers in western Nebraska have lost access to water at a critical time in the growing season. Since the canal failure, I've been in frequent communication with Wyoming Governor Gordon, Senator Erdman, and Senator Stinner about the situation both personally and through my staff and Director of Natural Resources. Today, I have issued a disaster declaration in response to the significant hardship as we work together to get our farmers and ranchers the help they need. For now, crews are virtually working around the clock in order to get water flowing again. Officials are currently aiming for a 20-day target to resolve the situation. In the meantime, producers are holding out hope for measurable rainfall and favorable weather conditions over the coming days, as now is a crucial time for the crops to be irrigated, and with farmers' livelihoods on the line, it can't come soon enough." Nebraska Extension Irrigation Management Specialist Shin Xiao explained to me just how crops could be affected by this disaster.
So for corn and beans, I don't think it's too optimistic. They are at their critical growth stage. Corn is at their reproductive stage from V12 to blister. So this is the stage they need most water. Same thing for dry edible beans. They're about to flowering, and some they already are. Again, they need water at this stage. So if it's really stressed at this point, and for next few weeks, corn will be a total loss, and there might be some left on the beans. And for sugar beets, that's probably the most optimistic crop in this situation.
While authorities are trying to get a fix in place, producers are scrambling to figure out alternative solutions to get water on their crops. Unfortunately, on both counts, there are a litany of legal hoops to jump through, as well as agencies to notify at varying levels of government. While discussing the cost and procedures of fixing the situation, Rick Preston, general manager of Gering-Fort Laramie Irrigation District, described himself as a bull in a china shop, eager to get in, tear down, and rebuild as fast as possible, and at the same time articulated the frustrations that come with a situation like this.
The first 2 or 3 days, we were in an aggressive mode to start putting it back together, to do whatever was necessary to get the system up and running again. And after about the 3rd day, we started having to deal with laws, statutes, channels to have to go through. And after about the 5th day, I was ready to yank anybody that opened their mouth up to yank their lips off. It is a very, very frustrating, very irritating law when you're in a hurry to try to save the livelihood of individuals. But regardless of nevertheless, you have to back up and take a breath and readdress it in a manner that's civil and level-headed. So,
As of now, as we mentioned earlier, crews are working around the clock to get a temporary solution in place while a permanent fix is being worked out. The final price tag on the project is estimated to cost upward of $10 million. As far as where the money will come from and how insurance deals with the affected farmers and landowners is still up in the air pending an investigation into the cause of the collapse. That investigation will commence just as soon as crews have water running again. Until then, many producers and officials are in a hurry-up-and-wait mode as they continue to work as fast as they can to ensure producers in the area have a little peace of mind. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.